jumping on. I'm Jessica Trueblood, the founder of the group, and thanks for joining us today. This is kind of a different take than we normally do. Benjamin reached out to me because he's got a cool tool that we might want to use or give feedback to, and so I invited them here for our Training Tuesday to talk about their invention. So you guys can take it away whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. So just to kind of preface all of this, so Ryan is a prolific Etsy seller himself. And so he actually is selling fabrics on his site, which is called Stitches and Giggles. And it was during this process that he had a ton of issues with inventory management. And so because of that, he's like, let's go develop a system that kind of can help alleviate this problem. And so what we're showing you guys today is his efforts to make his life better as an Etsy seller. And so he's asked me to help him kind of get the word out there for this product. And we went to business school together. And so that's how we have our connection that way. So Ryan, take it away.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll share my screen and demo the software. Feel free to interrupt at any time if something's not clear, you have questions or whatnot. Let's see, do I have the ability to, okay, I can share my screen, awesome. Okay, is this visible to everybody?
Yes, and I will keep an eye on the chat to see if any questions pop up and can certainly let you know.
Awesome, thanks Jessica. Okay, so this is a software. If you log in, you'd be welcomed by this this dashboard page, and this is just going to give a simple overview of how your shop is performed. And so right now, the channels that we have integrated into the software are Etsy and Shopify. So I have the ability to now look at the sort of cumulative total number of orders, new revenue, or average order size for a given period of time for both channels, or I could look at just Shopify. I could look at just Etsy. And then of course, we had to add the US map, which is always kind of fun for the Etsy sellers. We can customize by any date range. And so this has been really helpful to me because Etsy has their, they recommend free shipping at $35. And I was curious, what would that do to my average order size over time? And so it's a little bit hard to display here because that's kind of a policy that happened in the past, but it was neat to be able to see, a 3 or 4 month period and then go here to the average order size and see. And in my shop, my average order size actually dropped. And so I made the decision, based on this data that I had that, I'm not going to do that $35 free shipping. And so that's not what I'm here to talk about is, the free shipping, whether to do it or whether, but I'm just saying.
That's interesting though.
Yeah, the data helped me see that, actually this wasn't a great policy. So we've increased our free shipping to closer to 50 and 60. And now you can see that our average order size, is right around the high 30s. If I looked at a longer date range, maybe that would give us a better feel. We do have these spikes, but so recently we've been able to raise our average order size compared to kind of the trailing average. Really what this just does is help you see from a high level perspective, how is my shop doing? And this is really in its infancy as well, this dashboard page, because there's a lot of additional information that we can provide here. And I think I'll be able to touch on that a little bit over time.
So is this, just really quick, this is your 3,000 new orders this year in your Etsy?
Between Etsy and Shopify combined in the last 3 months, let's see, so we did, 3-month period, okay. It's 4,800 orders. Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot. Good job.
Yeah, we try to stay pretty busy. And it's neat to see, this is what it looks like based on orders. This is what it looks like based on revenue. These big spikes are days when we'll send out like an email marketing. And so we can see, hey, historically, how has our email marketing been? Or, why are we hitting these lows? Maybe it's a, weekend or we need to work, whatever it might be. It's just helpful to sort of see this trend over time.
Can I ask what you're selling, please? Ryan?
Oh, what are we selling?
What are you selling?
We sell fabric.
Fabric. Oh, it's you. Okay, good. Got you. You didn't say that.
My wife is the expert on the Etsy shop and fabric. I'll be totally honest, I don't know a lot about quilting fabric and quilting. I couldn't do this without her, but my background is in software development. And so, after hearing her frustration, week after week with inventory and seeing the data, I said, hey, we can build that for you.
Ryan, are you cool if I put your shop in the chat?
Yeah, that's fine. So Etsy, it's actually Stitches and Giggles for you. The native Stitches and Giggles was taken. So, okay. So then once a person jumps on the software, the first thing that they would want to do is import their existing listings into the software. And so if I click this reload list, I won't click this right now because it actually can take 10 to 15 minutes to download all of my 2,000 plus listings in Etsy and all of my 2,000 listings in Shopify, and then figure out which ones are already in the software. So I won't click that, but what this would do is populate this table here, which is all my Etsy listings that are not yet in the software, and this list as well. And then in order to import a listing, I would just search my Etsy space and search Shopify and say, okay, this tool here, this block lock flying geese 5x10, that listing is the same as this one in Shopify. I would click those two and add this pair. And then those two listings are synced in the software. And now if someone orders something through Shopify or they order it through Etsy, the inventory in the back end is staying perfectly consistent and reconciled. The other cool thing is let me just go off this page and then come back on it. If there's a listing, so say this one right here, this small dots in purple. If I search here, there's that listing. If I search in Shopify, that listing doesn't exist in Shopify. You'll notice that I have more listings in Etsy than are in Shopify. So if I simply click this and add this product, it adds it to Esherpa, but it also then immediately creates that exact same identical listing, pushes it to Shopify. So now that listing is in Shopify. So it's totally sped up our backend process of creating listings, posting them in both places. And we hope to add additional channels to this as well. eBay, possibly Amazon, kind of wherever we feel like our users could receive a lot of value. Those are the channels and those integrations that we would add. Okay, so then once your listings are in Esherpa, then we can go to this products page, and this will simply list it'll actually list all of your products, but it'll show you right here how many active listings do we have. So I've got almost 2,500 listings, and we can go into any one of these and let me find one. So these were all just published within the last day or so for my wife. So I'm going to find one that's a little bit older. Okay, here's a good one. So now from within our software, you can actually make edits or updates to your listing, and it will push those edits to Etsy and to Shopify. So you can see at Etsy, there's the tags, who made it. You guys are all familiar with this part of Etsy. And then Shopify as well, you can add different tags. And so this has also saved us a lot of time where, we want to go in and update the price. And instead of going into Etsy and updating it and then going back into Shopify and updating it, we have a central location where we now can manage our listings as well. And it will also show me a log of a history of the orders. So we know that we published this listing on the 20th, 3 days ago. It published to Etsy, it published to Shopify, and then on the 22nd, we got our first sale through Etsy, and there was a quantity of 1. So now we listed it with 6, it should be 5, which it's showing 5. And again, that inventory stays reconciled between all the channels. Any questions so far? And the nice thing, one feature we just added is you can customize your listing based on whether you're pushing it to Etsy or whether you're pushing it to Shopify. So I know that a lot of Etsy users like to, add a lot of, I don't know the right word, keywords or tags within the description, but in Shopify, they prefer to keep it kind of short and a little more precise. So we allow that. The software can, if I make any changes here, it won't change the listing in Shopify.
So you can actually write your listing inside Esherpa, looks like.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Okay. And
yeah,
then like the tags are there. I think I saw on that page.
Yep, okay. all the tags. So if you have existing listings, you can import them into Esherpa. And then once they're in Esherpa, then you can make any edits. And then you can also create new listings from within Esherpa as well. So going forward, you don't need to create them in Shopify and Etsy and then merge them. You can simply click this button, and you can create templates of a listing. So for us, fabric, my wife found that she was typing the same tags and the same, a lot of the same description and title over and over and over and over. And so this allows her we can create a listing from scratch, but then save it as a template. So if we had, it's always the same weight, length, width, height. Our variations are always the same. If we came to Etsy, there's always quilting fabric. And so to save for the time of going through this process, 20 or 30 times a day and always typing the same keywords, we have this ability to now just simply save as a template, and she can load it from that. And so that's really sped up the listing process pretty significantly for her. So that's the products page. And of course you can search your products based on the title or whatever Etsy section it happens to be in, a variation template, the product status, if there's drafts or pre-sales, whatnot. So then the last page is this orders page. And this is simply, we're going to import all the orders that happen. So you'll see, this order was, what's the date? Today's 23rd. So this was last night this one was last night at 6:54. This was a Shopify order. Here's all the items that were ordered. Here's the total. So if I clicked on any one of these products, it would take me to that product page, which is neat. Or if I click over here, it'll show me a summary of that order. And we're still doing some work on this page, but the thing that's been really neat and helpful to us here is, let me open this product first. And I failed to point out one thing. Within the product page, you have the option to input the cost of that item. So maybe these, if it's jewelry or whatnot, you would sort of total up the cost of all the materials, even your labor, whatever you want to put it in, and that represents the cost of an item. And then when we come over here and look at that order, so this person bought a 1/4 yard, so it pulls in the cost of that material. We know that here was the price of what they paid, and then this one had an associated Etsy fee because it relisted. So it was 20 cents, and I'm sure that you all are familiar with the Etsy fee structure. And so now we can look at so this is a typical financial breakdown that you see in an order receipt that you would print off and send to the customer. But what this also provides is sort of an internal financial performance that I can look at and say, okay, so the customer spent this, we also received this in shipping revenue. So here's our gross total. Here's the cost of all those materials. So the cost of this quarter, this quarter yard, this quarter yard. Here is the credit card processing fee, which we pull from Etsy. Here's the shipping transaction fee, 5% of this. Here's the total Etsy transaction fee, which is 5% of this. And then our Etsy listing renewal fees, cumulative. And in this case, we didn't have any multi-quantity listing fees, so it's 0. So now I know what my internal net profit is. The last piece that we're working on adding here is the actual cost of shipping this. So when we print off our shipping label, say it's $4 to ship, that will also pull in here, and I know my total financial performance. And so it's helped us kind of find that right range of how to price an item based on what its cost is, so that we're making sure that the shop is profitable. And this has been really helpful to us. And I mentioned on the dashboard that we're working on some things. That's one of the things I want to display on the dashboard is, historically, how are my fees doing? What is my net margin? Am I profitable? All of that stuff right now is kind of like a black box to me and my wife, at least on Etsy. We hope we're pricing things well, but you've got all these fees from Etsy, and it's just not always clear how well a certain listing does or how well a certain order did or whatnot. So that's our goal, is to bring a lot more transparency to that element of selling on Etsy. And that's kind of software in a nutshell. Any questions I can answer on it?
This is Leslie. Could you just take me through starting? Okay, say right now I have 80 items in my store, okay, and I might want to use your system because inventory is very important. Mm-hmm. What would I do? I was not quite sure how I would do it.
Yeah, so once you have an account with the software, the first thing that I would do is I would come to this import button. So we reload this list, and what this would do is if I press this button, it'll comb through your Etsy site and find all of your current active listings, and it'll populate a list here. And at the same time, it'll also go through, if you have a Shopify store. If not, then no worries. If you have a Shopify store, it'll go through all of your active Shopify listings and populate a list here. And then there's a process of matching, you know, okay, this listing here matches with this one here. Let's add that product. And, you know, so we have 2,500 listings. It did take me a few days to do 2,500 listings. And, you know, we're working on to see if we can use the software to automate that. But I think in the beginning, it's the safest to allow the user to say, yes, this listing here matches perfectly with this listing. Let's add it. Once your listings are added into Esherpa, the software will now manage that inventory between all the channels. And you can also then update your listing if you want to change the title, description, change the variations, anything like that. So that's the first step. Would be you get an account. Once you log in, you would import your products. And you can do this over time. You can see that I still have 123 products in Etsy that are not being managed by Esherpa. So there's a chance that the inventory is kind of messy for these products. So it's kind of in my best interest to get these products into Esherpa as quickly as possible, but it doesn't have to be all done in 1 hour or 1 day or even 1 week.
I think you should also show.
You mentioned something about the black box a while ago, and I just finished my taxes yesterday. Went to our tax preparer, so I'm very interested in having everything now at my fingertips and having it monthly. I can determine whether I'm making a profit or a loss. That's one of my goals for this year. So therefore, I should update sync every day then, right?
Sorry, say that it was internet was breaking up a little bit. Say that last part.
So therefore, I should sync between Etsy and Esherpa every day, or when I make a sale, or
so the software will sync automatically. You now no longer need to worry about syncing orders or anything. Once you've imported 2 listings into the software, our software will do all that. It'll automatically pull in all these orders. So if I order the first page, you can see that, let's see, 12:10. So 15 minutes ago, this order came through. And so it's doing this automatically. And that was the hope, was that the software will save you time and you don't need to spend a lot of time syncing orders and fixing inventory. Our software just simply does all that in the back end.
Okay. And it's a summary report in Excel. That's a great report. That can be downloaded to Excel?
Not yet.
Or not yet.
Not yet, but that's.
Can you get that in a report?
Well, it's just accessed here on the within the software. But I like that. That's a good suggestion, is to be able to export the data, which I think would be a really easy function for us to build in. But to export the data into
because that has some good information.
Leslie, your audio is kind of warbly. Every time
you know something, I'm going to have to log out again because my screen has gone back.
Okay.
So I'm going to log in. But I'll go on to the next person. I probably have another 1 or 2 questions.
There's one thing that I'll show, and I know that this isn't relevant to every Etsy shop out there, but one thing that we've been able to do with our variation. So with fabric, we sell different lengths of cuts, and that was the biggest inventory headache for us. Is if someone buys a half of a yard or 1.5 yards, how do you account for that in Etsy? And so we built in the ability for us to do what we call fractional variations. So if I sell half a yard, the software knows that's half of a unit. And so what's kind of neat is, did this image show up when I shared my screen?
Yes.
So you can see that over time. So here's our May 2020. So this one particularly here, this multi-quantity fee, we were paying $500 a month just in multi-quantity fees. And you can see over time, as I shifted more of our listings into Esherpa, I don't know if that's showing up very well, this fee has dropped over time to where in January it was only $79. So the software has helped us save close to $400 a month. But I realize that's unique to our shop. That's kind of unique to fabric. But I think it would also work in some other shops if people wanted to sell, bundles of products or even bundled listings. Our software allows you to say, let's say you have a leather shop and you sell a wallet and you sell belts and you sell purses. If you find that customers are commonly buying those three together, well, you're going to pay a 20-cent listing fee for each one of those three. Or you could create a bundle of those three and only pay one 20-cent listing fee. And our software will keep that inventory reconciled. It knows, hey, let's take one away from our wallet, let's take one away from the belt and one away from the purse, so the inventory stays perfectly reconciled. But this has been really nice to us to sort of save money on that end. And then you can see, the transaction fees are relatively equal, showing that our sales haven't changed significantly. Really, the only thing that changed significantly has been the multi-quantity fee.
So there's a couple of questions in the chat. I don't know if you guys want to jump on those.
So I think that he answered the first one, where does it automatically sync other listings in the shop to reflect bundles? Because you just talked about how it does handle bundles, right, Ryan?
Yeah, so let's see if I can show you a product here. If I were to create a new, okay, so let's say I have these 2,500 listings, and now I want to create a new listing that's a bundle. So again, I'll go back to that leather shop example. So I've got, let's say, a belt and a wallet and a purse here. Now I can create a new listing, and I can say this is a bundled listing, and then I'll go through here and search, okay, that wallet. Of course, it's not going to find any results because I don't have wallets in my shop, but it would then allow me to select and show in this listing, okay, this listing is a bundle of these products, and it can be as many as 20 or 25 products. And so that's what my wife does. When we get a new line of fabric, it's common that there will be 20 different fabrics in this line. So she'll create a half-yard bundle. She'll create each one of those individual fabric listings, and then the bundled listing would be a half yard of this one, a half yard of this one, half yard of this. And when someone purchases a bundle, we only pay one 20-cent renewal listing rather than 20 20-cent renewal listings, and it reduces the inventory in all 20 of those listings, if that makes sense. So people can buy the individual fabric, or they can buy the fabric through a bundle, and it helps us A, keep inventory reconciled, and B, it helps save on some of the listing fees in Etsy. Let's see, so I'm looking at the chat here. How is it pulling information for your profit? Is there a place where you input what the materials? So I think we covered that, but just to go over it again, when I create a listing, there is, there's this option right here. So if I was creating, again, the belt, fill in the description, add the images, and then this is really just internal. The customer's never going to see this cost of material. It's just for you and your benefit. Let's say the leather costs, $10, and my labor, everything all in is $15.72. And I price this thing at, I don't know, $35. Now when an order comes through, it'll show you that. And it'll show, here was your revenue, here was your shipping revenue, here was the cost of the material, here's all your Etsy fees, and now here's your net profit. So I hope that answered the question. It looks like that was a question from Desiree.
Yeah, she said thank you. I was listening to you talk, and I have 130 listings, so not 2,500, but I wonder if you have a thought, and this is, I guess, what we didn't talk about at the beginning, is this is a new product that you guys have developed. Where are you in that process? Is it live? Are you still working on it? But do you have any thoughts on who is your ideal customer for this product? Because is it someone with, is it applicable? Is it as applicable to smaller shops with 50 listings as it is for someone like your wife's shop that has 2,500, or what do you think the real sweet spot is?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll take that first question first. You asked the status of it. So this, you can see that it's processed now over almost 17,000 orders from my shop. So the software, it has taken a while. We've worked out, a lot of bugs over the course of developing the software. But today, as it stands, the software is It's not offered publicly, but it is ready for any other shops to be on it. And that's part of this call is kind of, look at this as a private invite to your group to be on the software that we're not yet offering to the public. But it works. The core functionality, everything works. As I mentioned, we're still working on additional features and whatnot. And candidly, we'll always be working on new features. We want this to be a living software that's always improving and meeting people's needs.
Right.
The second question of who is the ideal shop, I think that's a good question. To us, it's probably the mid to high. As soon as volume starts to become an issue, and you find yourself, spending a lot of time creating listings, maintaining those listings, I think we've built some tools that help really speed that up. Managing back-end inventory was a huge headache for us. And for sure, if someone is on Etsy and Shopify, for sure, this is I feel like an awesome product for them, because otherwise I don't know how you're going to manage inventory. If you sell something in Shopify, you've got to manually go to your Etsy shop and say, okay, that's one less. And that, if you do that 100 times a month, I think the software will literally pay for itself in that case. But I think, the smaller shops that are 10, 15, 20 listings, and they're getting, maybe a sale or two today, to be honest, I don't know if there's a ton of value to those shops other than seeing their profitability. Some of the dashboard tools I hope will still be useful to them, but I think that shop would fit within, and we haven't talked about our fee structure, and candidly, we're still working on that, but I think those smaller shops would fit within the free range to where, this is a really kind of simple dashboard, but it'll still give them some insight into their profitability. And then as their shop grows and they need some of the additional tools to manage their listings, to manage their inventory, multiple channels, hopefully this tool can be where they turn for them.
I think that makes a lot of sense. There's a couple of, I use a shipping software that has capabilities way beyond what I'm doing now, but that's why I picked them, because I don't want just a freebie that can print out labels. What I want is someone that in 3 years, when I'm doing, 3 times as much business, maybe, that I don't have to make a switch to another platform. I don't have to do anything. They already know me. We have a relationship, and I just, turn on the additional features.
Yeah, totally.
It's seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Some folks are asking about the fees. I mean, and if, we didn't really talk about this ahead of time, and we certainly can later. If you, have an idea of what the fees would be, if you want to, if there's something you want to offer this group, if you want feedback from us, or maybe, use us as your test group, whatever you think.
Yeah. So as part of what we want to do, the first thing is we'd love to get some feedback in terms of what do you guys find impressive about this software? What is it that you like? So I'd love to hear from you guys.
But also the flip side of that is what after this demo, what other questions do you have, and what does it seem like the software is missing as well?
I'll let some others chime in. For me, I would want to test it and play with it, honestly, to hook it up to my Etsy and see what it does. I like a lot of this. Leslie, looking for an inventory. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the basics of what this does. What I think is really cool, that it can post to both Etsy and Shopify. I don't have Shopify, but who knows, right? The future is vast. I like the map. I like the revenue calculations. I think it looks really easy to use, with those just a couple of side features. It's not overly confusing, but I'll let the others weigh in. I mean, that's my initial thoughts were, I'm not using anything for inventory right now. It's kind of a hot mess. So I don't know how much stuff I have. I've gotten into some situations where I, listed too many and then had to quickly try to find something, especially during the pandemic. I was paying double the price for my materials to get them overnight. That's not in my pricing structure. So something like this would be helpful for me as well.
Cool.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
Kelly, do you want to? Oh.
Reporting capabilities.
Your audio is still garbled, Leslie. I'm sorry. We can't hear you. You're
Sorry.
garbled. You're fine. I know.
Okay.
Ellie, do you want to jump in? You were talking about List Perfectly, which you're using right now. She's still on here. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's on mute. That's how they like to do on these trainings. They make me do all the talking.
That makes it easier.
There's Kelly.
Yeah, so I use List Perfectly, not just for Etsy. I also sell on Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari, but it doesn't affect inventory. So, you know, this, I'm just like really impressed with this software. I'd love to, you know, see how it would, you know, work. I don't have Shopify right now, but it is something that I might add in the future. But I just wanted to kind of jump in and say, you know, that your software is doing something that some of the other products out there are not doing that people want. They want to see their inventory affected between the different sites. So if somebody buys something, you know, on eBay, that it would, you know, take it down from the other sites or affect their inventories. So I just wanted to kind of hop in and say that was pretty neat that you guys have figured that out.
I'm glad that you noticed that. It took it, and I hope that it appears simple. You know, that's what I want it to be really easy. It has taken us a lot of time in the back end to make sure that's working. So I'm glad that you see that there's value in that. What were the other shops that you mentioned, Kelly? So I think you said eBay, and what was the other one?
So I use eBay, I use Poshmark and Mercari.
Okay.
And that the List Perfectly includes some other selling platforms. They have Kittison, they have Depop, they have, there might be a couple other ones that I'm forgetting, but they do they are connected with Etsy also, and Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
That's another
So
one.
they cover a lot, but it doesn't affect inventory. So that's kind of the downside.
Yeah. So and just to be clear, right now our software only has that inventory capability between Etsy and Shopify, but that's part of this call, is to sort of see where are our potential users selling, and then we can look at those integrations. So I've written those down, and I can look at, I know eBay is a fairly simple integration, and I'm not as familiar with the other two, but I'll spend some time looking into those and see how difficult it is to add.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other thoughts on this?
Someone mentioned Square Shop as well. Okay.
Go Imagine is new. I just signed up for that platform to see what it's all about. That's the one that donates the selling fees to a charity or a nonprofit.
Oh, cool.
That's, yeah, and they're brand new. So I mean, I just went through their application process, and so they could, I mean, people are saying they're the new Etsy, but you know, lots of those have come and gone and never became Etsy. But yeah, I think the more integrations, the better. Elizabeth is saying she really likes the bundle inventory update feature.
Mm-hmm.
Square, okay, yeah, so it looks like. Any other comments? And I'm sure we'll get some more comments from the group when we get this video posted, I'm sure. Because I do these during the day, not everyone can hop on during the day. So we do get a lot of people watching the replays.
Yeah, I do want to make sure that we touch on, I mean, you asked about the fees and kind of where we're at right now. So I want to make sure that we answer that question. And Ben, you can go ahead and take that.
Yeah. So really at this point, we are actually looking for beta users, people who can help us test the software and see what they like, what we need to improve upon, and hopefully benefit them a lot. We're offering the first 3 months free of charge because we just need to get feedback on any sort of bugs or anything like that. So what I can do is I'm gonna post my email that people can send me a message if they're interested. And it looks like Leslie, you've you've expressed a lot of interest, I can I can reach out to you if that's the email that you have.
Someone was asking, how soon will we be offering this to the public? Like Ben said, we want to get, you know, a decent number of beta users on the platform. You know, like I said, my shop has done over 16, almost 17,000 orders. So the core functionality works, but we want to now expand our user base to see what other use cases people have, what questions they have. So I think that 3-month time period would allow any user to import their listings, get a really good feel for the product. And maybe they say, you know, it's a great product, but it's not for me, and that's fine. That way they haven't spent any money. Or in that 3 months, they may say, hey, this is awesome, and now what about this and this? And we can begin to build a development roadmap for additional features and new things that people want. But I think offering to the public will probably be within the next 1 to 2, maybe 2 months or so. So right now it's still just private beta by invites to the other groups that we're talking to. But if you're interested, send email or send Ben an email and we can get you set up right away. I mean, as soon as this afternoon or tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, I think so I will, I'll try to get this video up quickly. I'll post the email address in the group. If one of you is on Facebook and wants to be added to the group, we can certainly do an intro and have you, collect people that are interested that way as well, if you want to do that.
So I'm actually part of your group right now.
Yeah, we have 400. Well, so get into the plus group. So if you're in the regular underachievers group, you need to be in the plus group. This is the plus group that you're talking to right now, and there's 400 members right now ish.
Okay.
And I can get you I'll get you in.
Okay, sounds good.
We could introduce you and you can, share the information or answer questions that no doubt will come up as people go through the video.
Someone just asked if it works on Mac software. It does. So it's browser based, meaning any, Safari or Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer, anywhere that you have an internet connection in the browser, you can access the software.
Great. I think this looks really great. I mean, this is an exciting time. You guys are getting ready to go public with it. And how long has it taken you to build the software? Just for my own curiosity.
Yeah, so I built the very first version, which was initially we built it just for our shop because we had those headaches, and we built that about 2 years ago. Our shop was running on that, and as I was in these Facebook groups and chatting with other Etsy sellers, I saw that this was coming up over and over and over. This headache of listing management, inventory management, bundled listing, some of these things that we had already built. And so then I started new development all the way from ground zero again in this more professional looking version. And so it's been in the works for 2 years now.
Cool. That is cool. All right. Well, do you guys have more questions or?
Oh, one more question. Is there anything that you guys haven't said so far that you're like, man, this would be awesome if it just had this, or I really dislike that?
I mean, I'll have to spend some time in there. I think having a report to be able to download reports would be good. Let's see. Anything else, you guys?
No, I think, can you hear me?
Kind of. You're going in and out.
Once you play with it for a while, that's when you will, you'll have questions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to hash this out on the call right now, but I did notice there's another comment about the reports. And so that's come up now 2 or 3 times. So that's clearly a key thing that people want. So maybe, Ben can kind of interact with the group and figure out what are you guys usually currently doing for these reports? What's the data that you'd like to see? How should it be presented? Because really exporting this data into an Excel file isn't a super challenging thing to do, but I want to make sure we're getting the product right and we're giving you a report that's useful and has the data that you're actually looking for. So Ben can maybe make a note of that and then interact with your group and figure that out.
Already noted.
Already noted. I did like the point you made at the beginning about people ask in the group all the time, is it better to have free shipping or paid shipping, or should I do the 35? And you know, to your point, you kind of have to know if you make the decision one way or the other. I like how you could see the snapshot. On Etsy, they don't make that super easy to see.
Yeah.
So like for me, I get more sales now with the 35, you know, free, but my items are, you know, I did the math and I could afford to do it now, but I don't have the data to go back and say, oh, this is what happened when I turned it on versus when I did it previously. So I thought that was a really cool sort of extra feature.
Yeah, it's been helpful to us. It's been really helpful.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all about, with the Etsy business, it's all about data. And for me, it's all about finding tools that make the manual work that I have to do less and less, so that I can spend my time crafting and running the group versus, you know, counting how many wood slices I have in my closet and then counting them again because I forgot, or, you know, forgetting about an order that I placed on Facebook Marketplace, which I've done, and didn't account for that in my Etsy shop, and vice versa. So.
Totally. Yep, we've been there. We've had that.
And I think that's like one of the things that's really awesome about this is how it gives you a complete financial picture. I mean, it's so easy for you to just purchase things and sell things and not realize if you're making a profit, or, you know, realize all the financials. So this just gives some visualization, you know, gives you a real understanding of the business side of Etsy, so you can focus on selling great products.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Jessica, thanks for putting this together. Really appreciate having some time with your group, and looks like there's some interest in it. So that's validating and exciting to me and Ben, and Ben will be reaching out to those people.
Yeah, this looks great. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Good luck with the launch, and hopefully we will have some testers in the group.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk